parties and a Santa obstacle course. The Congress, first held in 1957, takes place at the world's oldest amusement park, Bakken, that's just outside of Copenhagen.
I don't know if anyone is ready to see this yet.
It's a little disturbing. We have plenty of summer to go, but I guess Santa's got to be ready to go at any time.
That's right.
All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, investigators look into what caused the 2 fires at the MG&E plants last week. We'll tell you the very latest on what we know. And multiple crashes happened on East Washington Avenue over the weekend. Why one neighbor says this is a recurring issue.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with News 3 Now. New information tonight from Madison Gas and Electric. Officials explain what they say caused fires at 2 of their substations in downtown Madison.
MG&E shared those substations with American Transmission Company, the agency now leading the investigation into what happened. Our Rose Schmidt is live from the Blunt Street substation where one of those fires happened. Rose?
Yes, well, 3 days after that explosion and fire, part of East Main Street remains closed. And you can see crews from the utility companies and DNR are still out here working today. Business owners nearby say they are glad to be reopened today after thousands of customers were without power on Friday.
We got a call from our opening staff.
After a fire broke out at a substation shared by Madison Gas and Electric and American Transmission Company, workers at the restaurant The Brass Ring called owner Heather Walsh.
Last year it was floods. This year it's fireballs. You just never know.
In Heather's 15 years in the business, there's never been such commotion in her restaurant's backyard.
I think we are still waiting for answers.
MG&E now says evidence shows the fire started in a piece of equipment owned and operated by ATC. But MG&E equipment was also damaged. Crews had to de-energize the transformer, which led to thousands of customers without power for several hours. Customers like the Brass Ring.
We didn't get the green light from MG&E about stable power till way late in the day, so we weren't able to be open for business on Friday, and that was unfortunate for us. Obviously, weekends are kind of a big deal in the bar business.
At a number of local businesses, food had to be thrown out. Meanwhile, MG&E says both utility companies are still repairing and assessing damaged equipment. And as Heather tries to figure out how much revenue she lost, she says she's glad no one was hurt.
We get a lot of MG&E crowd for lunches and so forth, so I was thinking of them more than I was thinking of us. So, yeah, they had a harder day than us for sure.
OSHA confirms it is not investigating this incident because no workers were nearby when it happened and no one was injured. And a spokesperson for the state's Public Service Commission says right now the utility companies are undergoing their investigation, and after that investigation is complete, the Public Service Commission will review the results and decide if it needs to be involved further.
All right, Rose Schmidt live downtown. Rose, thank you. A Beloit man is in custody after a robbery. Beloit police say an officer recognized an armed robbery suspect, tried to make contact with him. That's when the suspect ran off. Later, a resident spotted him in the 2000 block of Roosevelt Avenue. Police say 40-year-old Michael Pisani was taken into custody. Police say Pisani was taken into custody for fleeing and other warrants. A canine from Winnebago County, Illinois, helped assist in that investigation. Madison Police Department is hoping the public can help officers identify a man suspected of stealing multiple cartons of cigarettes late last night. Officers responded to an alarm coming from the Capitol Petrol on North Sherman Avenue. Police say the intruder had left, but surveillance cameras recorded the crime and his face shown here. If you recognize the suspected burglar, you are asked to call Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
East Washington Avenue was closed for an hour on Saturday night after 2 crashes. It happened just before 10:30, injuring several people involved.
And some of our viewers say it was all the result of racing. Our Amanda Quintana joins us with more from a resident who says this happens all the time. Amanda?
Racing on East Wash is nothing new. It's been happening for years. It used to be called Cruising the Wash, but the neighborhood suspects it took a dangerous turn on Saturday. That night, dispatch told us the first crash caused the second crash, but police haven't finished their report on the incident. We were told several people were injured and 4 ambulances were sent to the scene. A viewer who claims to have witnessed it says the first crash was the drag racers and the second was people distracted by it all. Residents who live on East Wash say you can hear cars and motorcycles racing every weekend.
Screeching tires, loud exhaust. You hear a lot of motorcycles at low gears, so they're revving really high. It's constant up until sometimes even 2 in the morning.
Although MPD has not completed their report, notes from the original responding officer show one of the drivers was cited for racing, failure to control their vehicle, along with no insurance and a suspended license. The other car suspected of racing was not found. The good news here is that it sounds like no one was seriously injured, but this has been happening for such a long time that it is likely to continue happening.
All right, Amanda Quintana reporting. Amanda, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. A Palmyra man is facing multiple charges after jumping into a lake and swimming away from Whitewater police. Officers say on Saturday, July 20th, they received a call that a 22-year-old man had reportedly violated a court order and was drinking alcohol at V's waterfront venue in Whitewater. While police were taking him into custody, he ran from officers and entered the lake. Whitewater police requested boat assistance from multiple agencies. He was found within about 30 minutes, but continued to swim away from officers and was eventually taken into custody and is facing multiple charges.
All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather now. Meteorologist Chris Reese joining us. He is out on the weather patio on this absolutely beautiful Monday. A little breezy, though, out there, Chris.
It is breezy, but I'll tell you what, it feels fantastic. The humidity is low and the sun is out as well. So this is ideal for a Wisconsin summer-like day. And I think a lot of folks have been able to get outdoors and enjoy this weather that we have out there. Plenty of crystal blue sky. We've had some decorator clouds at times, but even those are falling by the wayside. A lot of that coming out of the north with our winds out of the north and northwest as well at about 12 miles per hour. This is keeping temperatures cooler. So right now we're at 76 and a lot of us are seeing those temperatures into the 70s, and that's about as warm as we've gotten today. So oddly enough, after this long stretch of warmer temperatures, we're finally seeing a day with temperatures below average. We'll keep those temperatures in the 70s for now. As we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening, we're falling back down into perhaps the upper 50s. But we'll talk about how long this beautiful stretch of weather will last coming up in Maine Weather.
All right, Chris, thank you. Thousands of people are still without power in northern Wisconsin after storms that happened over the weekend. Wisconsin Public Service says they still have thousands without power. They are rebuilding circuits in hard-hit areas around Stevens Point and Green Bay. They say they've restored power now to almost 110,000 customers since Friday night. According to We Energies, they currently have over 13,000 customers still without power in the Fox Valley. We Energies estimates that 95% of their customers who lost power in that storm will be restored later tonight.
The UW system will pay a former student $325,000 to settle claims that a professor sexually harassed her. A former student sued in October, alleging that UW Oshkosh failed to take action against former art professor Michael Bites. The victim says she had a consensual relationship with him in 2012, but he began sexually abusing and harassing her when she tried to distance herself from him the next year. A UW Oshkosh 2015 investigation found Bites violated system policies. He resigned in June of 2015 and landed a job at the University of Colorado Boulder 2 months later. Officials at that university say they were not aware of his history, but he resigned in May.
Renovations to a training center in Dane County are officially complete. Wisconsin laborers hosted the grand opening of their Wisconsin Apprenticeship and Training Center expansion. This is in DeForest. The expansion includes doubling the number of classrooms in the facility. A fourth training bay was also added to that building. Now, this expansion will help train over 3,000 workers a year. Governor Tony Evers says the training center will also be beneficial for high school graduates.
Every time I go into schools across the state of Wisconsin, I encourage young people, girls and boys, young men and young women, to get involved with the trades. The jobs are there, the money's there, and frankly, the solidarity in building a middle class in America. is there too.
The training center offers many courses, including pipe laying, mason tending, as well as concrete pouring.
Today, United Way of Dane County, Madison Development Corporation, and city partners broke ground for some new units of affordable housing. It includes 44 units on East Washington. United Way initiated the idea with the goal of family stability. It will feature studio and 3-bedroom apartments and be close in proximity to schools and parks. The housing is available to those whose combined household income is at 40 to 80% of Dane County's median income.
Stable housing is really a launchpad to self-sufficiency, and there are people working very hard to get to stability. They're doing all the right things, and still affordability for housing is out of their reach.
Renee Moe says this project is the stepping stone for those people to reach stability and independence. The housing should be ready by June of 2020, and applications will be accepted starting December of this year. The Madison Police Department is seeing an uptick in residential crime. Officers say they always see an increase in crime during the summer months, and this season, open garage door thefts are the #1 issue. That's when residents accidentally leave their garage doors open, inviting thieves into their homes. To cut down on this crime of opportunity, officers are encouraging neighbors to get a garage buddy, a neighbor who has your cell phone number, who can text or call you when your garage door is open or if something is amiss.
It's not only looking out for yourself, but looking out for the neighbor that's maybe across the street, on either side of you, getting to know them so when they go on vacation, you can help look out for their property as well, and just to keep an extra eye on the place.
In an effort to foster better relationships between neighbors, Madison PD is hosting Good Neighbor Night at their Midtown Police Station tonight. The event begins at 6:30. It is free and open to the public.
After nearly 3 years on State Street, Tailgate has closed its doors. Did so on Sunday. It is a collegiate apparel store located inside the Hub Madison building, selling graphic T-shirts with vintage logos and Badger gear for men and women. Now, according to Tailgate's Instagram page, that location is closing, but they do plan on opening a new store over in Milwaukee in September.
There is nothing else like it in southeast Wisconsin, a 2-story home made entirely of shipping containers. Kevin and Amy Plato spent years trying to figure out what to do with their land on the Milwaukee River in the town of Grafton. Now they're building a home out of 6 40-foot, 8,600-pound steel shipping containers.
I knew it was going to be a pretty cool project, but once they started placing those containers, I was just in awe. It took, 1 day to construct a whole home, and it was pretty amazing to watch, and these guys are good.
It is pretty cool, isn't it? They
Looks
say
nice.
it's about the cost of the average construction of a new home. That's around $400,000 in Wisconsin. But because their structural costs are cheaper, they're getting much higher end finishes inside the house. This is their 5th shipping container build. Their first one was in Grand Chute, and they've got one in Door County as well. This house in Grafton is the furthest south they've ever worked.
I want to see it when it's done.
Me
right?
too,
See how cool it would be?
exactly.
Pretty sharp. All right, more to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, a new CBS poll shows a majority of Americans see a nation divided right now along racial lines. More on the president's tweets about 4 Democratic congresswomen.
And then coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 6, the Dane County Medical Examiner has identified the bicyclist killed over the weekend. We're asking safety experts what riders need to keep in mind.
And a check of the markets to start the week. The Dow adds 18, the NASDAQ sees a 58-point jump, and the S&P 500 up 8 at the closing bell. And we'll be right back.
Hurry in for the A1 Furniture and
President Trump is staying on the offensive against 4 Democratic congresswomen known as the Squad.
This morning, the president tweeted, "The Squad is a very racist group of troublemakers who are young, inexperienced, and not very smart. So bad for our country." The president's tweet last week telling the women of color to go back from where they came has sparked conversations about race in America.
No racial tension. No, there's no racial tension. Look, I had my best numbers recently, and it's because of the economy and what I've done for the African American.
A really dangerous ideology that's about othering people, dehumanizing others. And we have to continue to fight back.
A new CBS News poll finds nearly 9 in 10 Americans, 87% of poll respondents, say the country is divided along racial lines. When asked specifically about the president's Go Back tweet, 48% said they describe it as racist, 34% said it was not racist.
The president and first lady and past and current members of the United States Supreme Court gathered to remember the late Justice John Paul Stevens. He died last week at the age of 99 after suffering a stroke. Associate Justice Elena Kagan filled Stevens' seat on the bench when he retired back in 2010 after serving on the high court for more than 3 decades.
He was a brilliant man with extraordinary legal gifts and talents, which he combined with a deep devotion to the rule of law.
Stevens was the 3rd longest serving justice. After a private funeral tomorrow, Justice John Paul Stevens will be laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. A massive crowd gathered in San Juan today in what organizers say is the largest protest so far, calling for the resignation of Puerto Rico's Governor Ricardo Rossello. The embattled politician has been under fire following the leak of vulgar chat messages and allegations of corruption within his administration. Now, this is the 10th straight day of demonstrations. More are expected later in the week.
To weather now, meteorologist Chris Reese is watching the forecast. Chris?
Yeah, the second day after a cold front, folks, is typically the colder of the 2 days. And that's what we've seen today with temperatures not really getting out of the 70s. And get this, a lot of folks anywhere from about 3 to 5 degrees colder than they were at this time yesterday afternoon. Check it out with temperatures only topping out right around 76 in Madison. Watertown topped out at 66, which I do think is an error there, but then 79 in Camp Douglas. So a lot of folks not getting out of the 70s, and that's below normal for this time of the year. Normally, highs are right around 82, so we've been well above that. Yesterday, we were right on the mark. Of course, today, we are just below the mark. Temperatures right now still at 76. Winds are coming out of the north and northwest at 12 miles per hour. That northerly wind is bringing in some of that drier air, so our dew points have fallen into the 50s as well. Here's another look at the drier air, keeping those temperatures into the 70s as we speak. Let's go ahead and show you the dew points, though. The Dells, a dew point at 48. Wautoma, a dew point at 51. Seeing these dew points into the 40s and 50s likely reminds you of fall to somewhat of an extent, but the dew point comfort meter shows you how it feels. It's below the noticeable. We're downright well into the comfortable range. In fact, it's actually pleasant to step outside and feel what it's like. With the drier air, there's no chance of showers or thunderstorms out there today either, which is certainly good news. The entire upper Midwest is dry as a whole. Any showers or thunderstorms, those are mainly felt and found across the Ohio Valley just towards our south and east. That's where a cold front is that came through the other day, continuing to push along the warmth, the heat, and the humidity as well. In the meantime, high pressure stays in control. For us, that keeps our weather dry as we go through the next couple of days. Watch this high pressure remain in control. Eventually, it starts to work its way towards our south. We'll want to watch it once it gets towards that position, simply because our winds begin to turn around. We'll start to get in on a little bit more of a southerly wind component. At that point, that's when things will begin to warm up a little bit for us. Not by a lot, but you'll notice things getting warmer. Let's go ahead and play this out for you guys. We're going to keep the sunshine and clear skies around overnight. Look for lows to fall into the upper 50s. Into tomorrow, sunshine will continue. By lunchtime, temperatures will be right around 75, 76 degrees. We'll top out around 80 again tomorrow afternoon. Now, one of the things we will watch for is to see if the lake breeze can't spark up a few showers right along the lakeshore. But I do think with the air being fairly dry, most folks should be in good shape all day tomorrow. Lows will be right around 60 as we head into your Wednesday as well. We'll top out into the low 80s for your Wednesday. So this overall cooler, drier weather pattern is brought to us by this dip in the jet stream. We call this a trough that allows some of the cooler air to come in out of Canada. But what we're going to be watching is the bigger ridge of heat back towards the west. Towards the weekend, folks, that's going to try to send some warmer air our direction. So we're actually going to watch the high temperatures come up just a little bit more. A lot of them are going to stay above average, but by the time we get you towards Saturday and Sunday, that's where we'll see those temperatures closer towards 85, 86, 87 for those highs. It does not last long, though. A cold front will come through at that point. That'll knock those temperatures right back down into the lower 80s, but we're going to be staying above average, even though we do have those rain chances in the forecast. Let's go ahead and show you guys your first alert traffic. Here's how things are shaping up for us out on the roadways. Of course, at Park Street, we are seeing those slowdowns. Lots of traffic delays. Do be prepared for that as you're headed out and about. Anywhere from about Verona Road towards John Nolan is where you're going to see those slowdowns. Average speeds are anywhere from 21 to 43 miles per hour right now. Guys?
All right, thanks, Chris.
One of the biggest credit reporting agencies in the country agrees to the largest settlement ever over a data breach. Details on how consumers will be compensated. Stay with us. That was one of the largest data breaches in history.
Today, Equifax agreed to pay the largest settlement ever for a hack that exposed the private information of nearly half of all American consumers. Diane King Hall has the details.
The Equifax breach exposed the private information of nearly 150 million people.
Names, social security numbers, birth dates and addresses, and for some, driver's license numbers and credit card numbers.
2 years after the breach, the credit reporting agency has agreed to a settlement of up to $700 million. That includes up to $425 million for consumers who were financially harmed and could be as much as $20,000 per claim, reimbursing those impacted for both time and expenses fighting identity theft.
As long as they have reasonable documentation in the form of receipts that they paid for credit monitoring or that they paid for security freezes, they should be able to get reimbursed for that amount.
Equifax will also provide at least 10 years of free credit monitoring and at least 7 years of free services for restoring stolen identities. For details on filing a claim, the company set up the website equifaxbreachsettlement.com.
Their carelessness with our personal data will cause harm, perhaps, for millions of Americans.
It took Equifax more than 6 weeks to discover that hackers were roaming its network. Authorities used the case to offer advice to consumers.
Unless you are about to apply for a loan or a credit card, freeze your credit.
Since the breach, Equifax has forced out its top executives and invested in new technology in an effort to repair the company's tattered reputation. Diane King Hall, CBS News, New York.
Stay with us. We'll have another check your forecast in just a moment.
Well.
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, the political crisis in Puerto Rico intensifies as hundreds of thousands of protesters call for the governor to step down. Our exclusive report from inside Syria. What are U.S. troops doing there months after President Trump said he wanted to bring them home? And colorectal cancer rates are on the rise among younger adults. What you need to know. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Boy, what a night tonight. It's great outside.
Absolutely beautiful. We're going to see those temperatures cool down into the upper 50s tonight. Low humidity, kind of that perfect summer night, if you will. And it's not going to be all that muggy if you want to go out either. We keep that around going through the next couple of days. A long stretch of some sunshine there. We'll see a little bit more humidity this weekend, but a cold front comes in Sunday into Monday. That'll bring a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, and then we'll go right back down into the low 80s. For early next week. So this is a pattern that I can get behind.
Yeah, I actually opened the windows today and turned the AC off. I recommend it. We're ready for it. See you in 30. CBS Evening News is next.